everybody, and welcome back to the Squares and Circles podcast, where together we navigate the twists and turns of this wild journey from teenagehood to adulthood. I'm your host Ellie, and I'm so gassed to be back with another episode for you. Get ready to dive into this week's episode, which is all about comparisons, as we uncover the secrets the beauty industry doesn't want you to know, and just how bad comparing yourself is for your health and well-being. It's going to be an exciting journey. Let's explore and grow through this together. Chapter 1. The beauty industry did what? I think the best way to start this episode is to first understand why we compare ourselves in the first place. Humans have an innate tendency to compare themselves to others, which is often driven by evolutionary and social factors. This behaviour stems from our need to assess our social standing and ensure survival and success within a group, making sure that we'll be the ones to pass down our genes and ensure the survival of our species. However, these comparisons have evolved with us, and nowadays it's less about the survival of our species and more focused on the way we look compared to others, because there's a huge societal emphasis on physical looks as indicators of status and desirability, as well as our worthiness and our health. Society values certain attributes like beauty, intelligence, and success, creating a competitive environment where we all strive to outperform each other. This shows up in so many ways, but a notable one for me, and I know it's an extreme one, but it's the people out there who for some reason idolise and look up to infamous serial killers. Like Ted Bundy committed some truly horrific and heinous crimes, yet still he has a bunch of people pining after him because he's considered a handsome man. And again, I know this is a really extreme case, but I think that it starts to paint a picture of the way that society values physical appearance over any internal qualities. If, as a society, we instead valued qualities like kindness, compassion, and love, this sort of situation would be much less likely to happen, and we wouldn't have people out there looking up to bloody serial killers. Media and cultural narratives often highlight an ideal standard which many people feel pressure to achieve due to the media, both social media and traditional media. A study in body image found that exposure to idealized images on social media is linked to greater body dissatisfaction and eating disorder symptoms. Isn't that fun? It's so hard to escape the continuously changing body and appearance trends, and these constantly changing, usually highly unachievable standards more often than not lead to stress and dissatisfaction in general life and with the way that we look. So the same study that Body Image did that I mentioned before also found that approximately 70% of women aged 18 to 30 are dissatisfied with their bodies. 70%, just let that sink in a sec. Do you know how many people that is? That is a lot of fucking people. I'm not going to do the maths, but 70%, 70. That's huge. The Dove Global Beauty and Confidence Report indicates that 85% of women and 79% of girls admit to opting out of important life activities, such as trying for a team or club, when they don't feel good about the way that they look. And joining a team or club, this might be obvious, but it's so amazing for our physical health, our social health, our confidence, and our general well-being. And the fact that this high of a number of girls and women choose not to do that purely because of their appearance is really, really sad, I think, because such a trivial and unimportant aspect of ourselves, such as how we look, should not be determining the quality of life that people have. These statistics really go to show the effect that the media has on us and how astronomical it truly is. Being insecure is a learned behaviour. We aren't born insecure. Children don't tend to care what they look like, and if they do, it's usually because they've been exposed to things that teach them to care young. Every society assigns roles and expectations based on gender, age, profession, etc. And this is an evolutionary thing as well. For example, men are biologically stronger and their bodies are built more for physical activity. So they went out and they did the hunting and they brought the food they found back to the family, whilst women are biologically better at childcare and obviously bearing children. So they would stay back whilst the men went out hunting to care for the children. But these roles are back from when humans had to survive or die, and we didn't have the safety of these built-up town or mechanical weapons to keep us safe. These evolutionary gender roles can create unrealistic standards in today's society where we don't need the men to hunt or keep the pack safe from predators. because there are no apex predators anymore. We are the apex predator. We have nothing to protect ourselves from, apart from, like, each other. And we can just go to the shop and buy dinner. We don't have to go hunting for it. We can just go down to Asda and get, I don't know, chili con carne or whatever you have for dinner. I don't know why I said chili con carne. I literally don't even like it. I would never choose that. Yet, women are still expected to bear children, and men are still expected to be strong and quote-unquote manly. And obviously women have to be the ones to bear children, because men cannot do that, obviously. But it shouldn't be expected of every single woman, and that isn't her main role anymore in this society. We haven't got to try and, like, make our species survive. I think we're chilling. We're actually overpopulated, in fact. But anyway, this is just an example, but it goes to show that there is still this immense pressure to conform to a single standard that society deems important. And this standard overlooks the importance of diversity in skills, talents, and appearances, making it crucial to recognise and celebrate individual differences. The beauty industry significantly influences societal standards of beauty by promoting products and treatments that promise to meet these ideals. This industry thrives on creating insecurities, and then they sell products to fix these insecurities that they created, convincing people that they need to change their appearance to be accepted or admired. Oh, it makes me so angry. In the 1920s, for example, the trend of sleeveless tops and short dresses meant that women's armpits and legs were now on show for the very first time. They hadn't been before because they were always expected to wear long sleeves and skirts and dress modestly. Razor companies that were previously geared towards only men and their beards saw this as an opportunity to make much more money, as they realised there was an entire half the population that they weren't making money from. So through marketing, they began to make it fashionable and desirable to have no leg or armpit hair, making the perfectly natural and actually healthy bodily function of growing hair begin to be viewed as gross and dirty, which births the insecurity of having body hair. And of course, we have the 70s and 80s where Sophia Loren made hairy armpits trendy for women again. But again, this is just a trend. Of course, also we're lucky now that this has kind of started to change a bit over the past few years, as people are now adopting a more individualistic, expression, rather than everyone following the same trends. But this one example doesn't mean that we're completely over this as a society. There are still so many insecurities and taboos that the beauty industry has created purely for monetary gain. Sorry if I sound heated in this episode. Nothing gets me going. Nothing grinds my gears more than the beauty industry. It really, really riles me up. Ugh, makes me so angry. Anyway, as I mentioned before, beauty standards are not static. They evolve over time, and they're often driven by marketing strategies aimed at boosting consumer spending. Society's emphasis on body image has led to fluctuating trends where certain body types are idolised at different times, influencing people's perceptions of their own bodies and their own worth. For example, the shift from the heroin chic look of the 90s allowed companies to boost weight loss products like pills and drinks and whatever else to the 2010s, where it was the curvier figure being more desired, where we saw the constant marketing of products like waist trainers and workout programs to target getting a big bum and big legs and a tiny little waist, and, you know, creams to achieve this. There was so much random stuff that most of it was probably bullshit. In fact, most of it was definitely bullshit. But these products promised women the trending body, and so they would sell, and they would sell really well, which was actually quite scary. But anyway, now we're having the resurgence of the super skinny trend, and I don't know about you, but I've been seeing a hell of a lot of adverts geared towards weight loss, and fashion adverts that have increasingly skinny models. And even the Kardashians, I cannot speak, I don't know why I've gone to this place in my accent. But anyway, the Kardashians, which seem to be the epitome of all these trends, have all noticeably lost weight. They're not these, like, I mean, obviously they still got big bums, that's like the whole thing, but they're not so curvy and voluptuous and, like, mid-sized anymore. Like, yeah, sure, their bodies were still kind of unrealistic before, but now they're skinny again, which is obviously fine, like, do what you want. But it's just interesting because the trends all seem to come from them. And in fact, there is a study done by the Royal Society for Public Health that shows that social media influencers and celebrities heavily impact beauty standards, with 70% of respondents feeling pressure to look a certain way due to the figures that they see in the media. So, Kardashians, looking at you, love. what you're doing. I mean, do what you want, but I don't know. They have a lot of influence. I don't really know what my opinion is on this yet. None of this is to say that there is anything wrong with being skinny or curvy or losing weight or gaining weight or having any one type of body at all for that matter. The problem isn't with the bodies themselves. The problem lies within the industry, making us feel unworthy, ugly, or whatever other negative emotion towards ourselves when the majority of us aren't able to achieve these really specific and unrealistic body standards. The pink tax is another layer to this, and if you haven't heard of the pink tax before, it refers to the higher prices often charged for products that are marketed towards women compared to the male counterparts, like similar products for men. That was the same products, but usually the products for women are like pink, so they're more expensive. And also, side note, I know that this whole thing doesn't just affect women, but it is primarily geared towards women and their bodies and their faces, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the industries think that we're weaker or more easily impressionable or something. I don't really know why it's more geared towards women, but because the industry makes us feel like we have to look a certain way, they can get away with charging us more money for a product that men can buy for a fraction of the price. And I did my own research on this. I looked on Sainsbury's website to see evidence of the pink tax, and I found that for 4 Gillette Comfort men's disposable razors, it would cost just £5. Or if you have a Nectar card, it can cost you £3.30. However, for a pack of 3 of the women's Gillette Venus Oceana disposable razors, which they look like the most similar type of razor to me, and I don't know, they're both the same brand, so I thought that's a good fair comparison. But anyway, these 3 razors cost £5.75 and no Nectar price. So as women, we are paying more for these 3 razors than the men are for their 4 razors of this. Like, they're probably exactly the same. One of them was just purple. So anyway, that makes me so angry. But you may be wondering what the pink tax has to do with comparison. But this practice of charging women more for products that we are brainwashed to think that we need. Sorry, I just burped. I was going to keep it in, but it was actually disgusting. I just listened to it back and it gave me the heebie-jeebies. But anyway, this practice perpetuates the notion that maintaining beauty and femininity is more costly and essential, which affects both women's self-worth and their financial well-being. And when you affect a woman's financial well-being, you affect her confidence, and therefore her self-worth, and therefore her confidence, and therefore her self-worth, and therefore you have an insecure woman who is more susceptible to falling for the beauty industry. I don't know if that's a bit of a stretch, but in my head it makes sense. I think we have all fallen victim to the devil that is comparison at some point in our lives. I personally have had many an experience with it. We go way back. We're not homies, but we go way back. When I was a teenager with my first job at 16, I actually started saving up to get a nose job because I would look at girls I considered pretty, which admittedly at this point in time I had the same view of pretty as the whole of general society. And they would all have a super dead straight nose, and mine had like a tiny slight little bump on it, and I thought it was really big. And looking back, this is actually so sad and kind of funny. It's not, but it is kind of funny to me now, because my nose is actually quite small, or at least it's like proportionate with my face. Like, I've actually got quite a small nose, and it's a little cutie. But it's also not even got a bump. I don't know where this came from. But I really was saving up to get a nose job, which is just outrageous. But this was at a time where I had body dysmorphia, so it does kind of make sense. And luckily, even though I was saving money to get this nose job, I was terrible with money. So I never actually got the money to do that. Or I think I really would have, got the nose job. And another notable time that I've compared myself is in my second year of uni. All of my friends started to get lip filler, and I've always had quite small lips, but it wasn't really something that I felt insecure about for most of my life until having big lips was the desired appearance. And because all of my friends were getting these big lips, I didn't want to be the only one who didn't have them. And so I felt really bad about my own lips, even though they are perfectly fine. They're not that small, like, they're alright. And again, I luckily was too poor to get fillers in the end. Big ups being poor, honestly, it's actually saved my life twice now. I say saved my life, I wouldn't have died if I got a lip filler or if I got a nose job, but like, I don't know, I feel like it wouldn't have been good for my confidence. Or, I don't know, it could have been also really good for my confidence, but I'd probably just feel bad about it now, at this point in my life, Anyway, I'm glad I didn't, and I'm glad I was too poor to get them. I ended up actually just getting a lip ring instead, which I think is much cooler and better for me, as I said. And also, it just really suits me. I look fucking sick with a lip ring. Anyway, I think these stories really highlight the power of social influence on individual decisions, and it just goes to show how easy it is to be influenced into having insecurities. Because I also like to think of myself as quite a strong-minded person as well, so imagine what it does to people that aren't so strong-minded. And I don't know if that sounds really big-headed, but I don't know. Like, there are people out there that are really easily influenced, and I feel like I'm not really one of them, but it still gets me. Well, it did a lot more when I was younger, but not so much now. Now I'm just like, I don't really care. But anyway, it's just something to think about, isn't it? It's really quite sad. I hate the beauty industry. And also, this isn't to hate on people who have done these things, like get a nose job or get lip filler. I really do believe that if you're unhappy with something about your appearance, then there is nothing wrong with changing it so that you can feel good in yourself. And even though I do love the way I look now, I still would quite like to do something about, like, my wonky smile. And I've got quite hollow under eyes as well. But these things aren't really insecurities anymore. They're just, like, part of me. And if I can change them one day, then cool. I might, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it if I don't, because I still think I'm really pretty. I've just realised through my self-love and acceptance journey that personal authenticity holds way more value than conforming to superficial and fleeting standards. I've found that personally, gaining the confidence in my true authentic self has allowed me to feel joy about my unique qualities, and even the ones that aren't considered desirable by society. And it's so emotionally freeing to do this because you don't feel held back by conformity and trying to look like everyone else. This can be particularly hard, I think, when we're also taught and often have first-hand experience that we will be judged for things that we don't conform to society's standards of beauty. I'm going to do a whole episode on how to overcome the fear of judgment, but for now I think the main thing that has helped me was the idea that most people only really care about themselves. And if somebody has something hurtful or judgmental to say about you, it really does reflect more about what they see in themselves and says far more about them than it does about you. And I know this saying is really common to hear, but honestly, once I started truly believing and understanding this, rather than just thinking, yeah, that's probably true, like, people probably are projecting. But when I actually truly took the time to understand and believe that is when my fear of being judged started to fade away. Because it really is just none of your business what other people think about you. Like, they can do what they want. You can't control what people think, so whatever. The American Psychological Association reports that adolescents with a poor body image are at higher risk of developing anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. And a meta-analysis in the Body Image Journal that we spoke about earlier confirms that body dissatisfaction is a significant predictor of eating disorders, with high bodily dissatisfaction tripling the risk of developing an eating disorder. And not only this, interventions promoting positive body image can mitigate adverse mental health outcomes. For example, a study in Psychology and Health found that programs focusing on self-acceptance and body positivity significantly reduce body dissatisfaction and related psychological distress. So essentially, self-acceptance is one of the best things that you can do for your mental health and your overall happiness. And not only this, but it's also for our physical health as well. Studies show that these comparisons lead to body dissatisfaction, and constant comparison can lead to harmful behaviours such as extreme dieting, excessive exercise, and the use of diet pills or steroids, which significantly affect our physical health. The World Health Organization, or WHO, you've definitely heard of those before. Don't know why I went really awkward then. Shut up, Ellie. Anyway, WHO reports that eating disorders are on the rise globally, with the highest rates amongst adolescents and young adults. And the Journal of Adolescent Health highlights that body dissatisfaction is associated with a range of unhealthy weight control behaviours, which can lead to severe health issues, including nutritional deficiencies, heart problems, and osteoporosis. And you might be thinking, that's a bit dramatic, it's a bit of a stretch, but the sad truth is that this is all too common. So many of us have... Oh my god, why does my voice keep doing that? I'm so sorry. So many of us have suffered or still suffer from some sort of side effect from mistreating our bodies after trying to conform to a certain body image, and we spend so much of our time worrying about the way we look and how we're being perceived But being free from the trap of caring what we look like is truly the most liberating thing that we can do for ourselves, because the way that we look is truly the least interesting thing about us. And I know we hear that all the time as well, but honestly, think about it. Like, think about your other traits. What have you got going for you that's got nothing to do with the way you look? Those things are probably way more important to you than how you look, if you really, really think about it. We have so much personality and other non-physical things going for us that we don't value as highly as how small of our waist is or how symmetrical our face is, and it's such a shame because our non-physical qualities are really what truly matters most in life. It's like that trending TikTok sound that says, I can't remember it word for word, but it's something like, when you're old and grey and your grandkids ask you what you did when you were younger, it's going to sound silly when you say, well, I didn't do much because I was scared about what I was scared what people would think about how I look, or something like that. And thinking about like that is such a perspective change, and it changed my perspective a lot as well. Even though I saw it at a time where I was pretty chilling with my body, I was just like, damn, that's so true. Like, why are we letting the way that we look affect our experiences? I think that's just so sad. Because it's just so stupid. Like, I'm not saying you're stupid if you do this, like, we all do it. It's literally the whole, like, you know, my whole rant about the beauty industry. That is literally the problem. But it's just so sad that it's doing this to us because, God, we have so much life, but we let it get dictated by freaking numbers. It's so annoying. God, anyway, on to chapter 2. Chapter 2. So, what do we do about it? So, we are now well aware of what comparison does to our health and our mental well-being, but what can we do about it? I think a really good first step is to first be mindful of what media. I cannot speak today. I feel like I say that every episode. Oh God, why do I have a podcast? I can't speak. Anyway, you need to be mindful of what media you're consuming. You need to develop a critical eye when consuming the media that you consume, because a study published in Computers in Human Behavior found that a significant negative correlation between social media usage and self-esteem, particularly amongst young women who compare themselves to other people on these platforms. Also, research by the Royal Society for Public Health indicates that Instagram is the platform most associated with negative body image and poor mental health outcomes, with 67% of young people feeling worse about their bodies after using it. Because of this, it's so important to understand that images are often heavily edited, and as I said before, advertisements are designed to create a need for products by exploiting our insecurities, which are made by these companies. Unfollow or mute anyone, and I literally mean anyone, who makes you feel badly about yourself, even if it's somebody you know, your friend, your sibling, literally whoever makes you feel badly about yourself, even if it's just during the healing period, and then refollowing them or unmuting them once you feel better about yourself and you're a bit more stable. I think it's also a really good idea to follow diverse and body positive accounts that promote realistic and inclusive representations of beauty. Maybe people that look like you or have a similar body type or similar struggles. Seeing somebody else be so confident and beautiful with a body or features that are similar to yours can really help you to see the beauty in yourself. Also, following people based on what they do, like if they have similar hobbies or interests to you, rather than just following people based on the fact that they're beautiful or they have a nice body. Doing this can also help you realise that many beauty standards are superficial and they don't reflect a person's true worth or character. The more that you reflect on the motivations behind the media portrayals of beauty, the more that you recognise it's literally just commercial and financial interests driving these narratives, making us feel so shit about ourselves. All this being said, no matter how hard you try, social media will always find a way to get toxic messages to you, be it through adverts, algorithms, or just any other form of media like the TV, email spam, or anything else. And because of this, I think it can be really beneficial to do a straight up detox from social media every so often. And doing this allows you more time to engage in non-online activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, which helps cultivate confidence and self-esteem. At the beginning of the year, I actually took a whole month off of Instagram, and I don't know, I was doing a lot of work in this time on myself anyway, like a lot of journaling and healing and stuff, but I think that not having Instagram during this time actually skyrocketed this process. I don't think I'd be where I am now if I didn't take that month off. And I've also created a whole new Instagram account to get rid of everyone that I didn't want to follow, because I just followed so many toxic people, I would say. And not saying that they're toxic people, but I was following content that was toxic for me to see at that time. So I just made a whole new Instagram account and just followed the people that I knew and found people that were going to be good for me, and that was literally it. I'm still on that Instagram now, and it's a lot better. It's a much more fun experience. I mostly just get like cats, frogs, raccoons, and this is really mean maybe, but kids hurting themselves. I think that's quite funny sometimes. But that's literally all I get now. I don't really get any I don't really get any bad stuff. It's just quite fun. I've just cultivated my Instagram to be a place that's just silly, because that's what I want it to be. I want my social media experience to be silly and wind down and fun. Similarly, another thing that we can do is to value our inner qualities over our outer ones. Focusing on the way that we are beyond our physical appearance and cultivating qualities like confidence, kindness, intelligence, creativity, and empathy can make you feel way better about yourself than being societally accepted as pretty ever would. Being confident in the fact that you're a good person can do wonders for your mental health and your well-being. One way to do this is by engaging in activities that build self-esteem and personal growth, such as volunteering, learning new skills, or pursuing hobbies and passions. Doing this will help you to develop a strong sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external validation. Practice self-compassion and positive self-talk to reinforce your inner values. You can do this through affirmations, by catching out your negative self-talk and correcting it in your mind, and also by celebrating your own personal achievements and milestones. It's really important to recognise that your worth is determined by more than just your physical appearance. And by praising yourself for things that aren't related to the way that you look, you start to cultivate this idea that you are worth a lot more than how pretty you are. Another thing that we can work towards in order to overcome comparison is to embrace our individuality. This starts by understanding that each person is unique and that our differences are what makes us interesting and valuable and fun, That's what makes us us. That sounds really cringe, but it's true. And it's not about how well we conform to society's beauty standards. Try and embrace your own unique features and qualities and work with them, rather than going against them to try and fit the ever-changing standards so that you can fit into the box of society's attractive people. Recognising that trying to fit into a narrow standard of beauty diminishes the richness of individuality, and that is what makes us beautiful as humans. The fact that we're all so different. Beauty standards are arbitrary and they have evolved over time, often reflecting cultural and economic shifts, rather than any objective measure of beauty. It's literally just about what will make companies the most money at the time, which is just outrageous if you really think about it. Recognising that what is considered beautiful today may not be the same tomorrow can save you a lot of energy and mental anguish, as it will allow you to see how pointless it is to strive for temporary ideals. Also, just really deepening the beauty industry and how fucked up it is, and how calculated it is to make us all feel shit about ourselves, and channeling that rage into going against what the beauty industry wants actively is really helpful, because me knowing that me not conforming is I'm doing what they don't want me to do. And I don't know, that just helps a lot. I don't know why. I just God, fuck the beauty industry. I know I've said it so many times this episode, but it really makes me fucking angry. My next piece of advice of things that will help is to redirect your focus on exercise and diet to a more healthy mindset. Pardon me. Instead of exercising and eating healthy because you want to conform to a specific societal standard, do it for other reasons, such as your health and improving your overall energy levels. Instead of going to the gym to tone up and to get fit to look good, go to the gym to be able to lift heavier weights and become stronger, or run faster for longer. And if the gym isn't for you, don't force yourself to go. I had to stop going to the gym for a really long time because I just didn't have a healthy relationship with it. No matter how hard I thought I had grown or moved through my body confidence, I still would end up reverting to having unhealthy and unrealistic standards when it came to the gym. And eventually I would just stop having to go to the gym again because it wasn't good for me. So I started doing other forms of exercise that I found fun, or I thought I might find fun. And sometimes I enjoyed it and sometimes I didn't, and that's alright. It's all part of the process, and now I love running and yoga and dancing and dance workouts on YouTube and Pilates. And I know that I don't really like climbing because it makes my hands hurt and I want soft hands. And I think that climbing will make my hands rough, so I do not want to do that. But I'm now moving my body in ways that are fun and they feel good to me rather than doing it for the sake of my appearance. So starting by doing that is a really great way to go. Remix. I can't speak to J. Anyway, I did a similar thing with my diet. For ages, I would eat super healthy things that I didn't really get that much enjoyment out of because it was what I felt like I should do in order to look good and lose weight or stay skinny or whatever the fuck I was doing. But when I adopted a more balanced approach to my diet and focused on nourishing both my body and my mind and listening to my body and what I wanted, I actually started to become much more consistent with a healthy diet because I wasn't so restrictive, and I would allow myself a pizza or a little pudding or whatever I wanted. I mean, I actually have a pudding every single day because I love a little sweet treat. God, who doesn't love a sweet treat? So I have pudding pretty much every day. But because I was listening to my body and giving it the nutrients that it wanted, it wasn't often that I want unhealthy things because I was nourishing myself and feeding my body and giving it what it wanted, so I wasn't having cravings for things that were that were unhealthy. And obviously, as I said, I do eat unhealthy things and I eat them every day pretty much because I love chocolate covered pretzels and I love cake and I love chocolate, I love crisps, I really just love, and I love processed food. I just love it. It's so good. And I do love pizza and I love nachos and I love copious amounts of cheese, even though it does give me the shits. But anyway, the list is endless. I'm not going to stop eating any of this, but I also don't have to punish myself for eating this because no foods are bad, just as no foods are good. Food is food and it provides us with different nutrients. Sure, some of it's better for our bodies, quote unquote. Well, not quote unquote, it is better for our bodies, some of it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't eat the stuff that isn't so good for your body, because it's good for your soul and it's good for your mind and it's just good for you. Like, in a different way, food doesn't have to be good for your body to be good for you. If a food makes you happy, then why should you feel guilty? Oh my god, I need to go to speech therapy. Why would you feel guilty for enjoying a food? That's what I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand. Been there, done that. Got the fucking t-shirt. I've actually got a whole wardrobe from that. But I've actually got about 6 wardrobes because my weight fluctuates so much. But anyway, you shouldn't feel guilty for enjoying something. You don't feel guilty for doing, I don't know, if you like painting, you don't feel guilty for painting. You don't feel guilty for going on a nice sunny walk if you enjoy a nice sunny walk. So why would you enjoy eating a stuffed crust pizza followed by a whole packet of biscuits? I feel like I went on a bit of a tangent there, but anyway, a lot of these steps that I've mentioned... God, I'm so burpy today, so sorry. A lot of these steps can come with a sense of imposter syndrome, and it leaves you wondering maybe why are you worthy of being so confident? I have a whole episode on imposter syndrome, which you can go and listen to. It's full of strategies on reducing comparison in areas like career and intelligence, and these strategies can often be applied to body image as well. I think it's pretty transferable. And as always, if you are really struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to a professional or someone that you trust for help and advice. Something that I talk about a lot, but is so important for so many challenges that we face as we grow into our adult years, is surrounding yourself with positivity. Cultivate relationships with people who uplift and support you and who value you for who you are rather than how you look, and people that support you in your journey to confidence and praise you for things like your intelligence and your creativity and your kindness, and they value those qualities in you. Engage in communities and groups that promote body positivity and self-acceptance. I really wanted to get into pole dancing for this exact reason, because I think it'll be super empowering, but you can do whatever version of this suits you best, whether it's just like following people online or joining a forum or joining a different type of club that isn't pole dancing. I don't know, like literally whatever you fancy really. but encourage open and honest conversations about body image and self-worth with these people, because sharing experiences and struggles can create a sense of solidarity and reduce feelings of isolations. And it's important to normalise discussions about the unrealistic nature of beauty standards and the importance of valuing yourself beyond your appearance, as it will really help you to overcome the feeling of inadequacy. Alright, here it is. It wouldn't really be a Squares and Circles podcast episode if we didn't talk about mindfulness as a way of getting over something, would it? Practicing mindfulness such as meditation, journaling, deep breathing or grounding exercises. Wow. Exercises. Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. All of these things help you to stay present and reduce your negative self-talk and to help manage your feelings of comparison. Performing daily affirmations in a way that works for you, such as speaking them in the mirror, writing them down, listening to them, or however else, whatever works for you, literally try everything, figure out what works best for you. But anyway, these help you to reinforce a compassionate and accepting self-view. And they condition you to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would a friend or a loved one, cultivating a mindset of self-compassion, which will in time extend to self-acceptance and maybe even self-love. Chapter 3. Important things to remember. Number 1, and I think the most important, is that your worth is not determined by how you look. Beauty is subjective and constantly changing, so value what is inside you and the things that you actually truly value, not the way that you bloody look. It's not important, love. Number 2 is to be critical of the media that you consume and the messages that it sends about beauty. Follow accounts and people who promote body positivity and authenticity. Number 3 is to cultivate habits that make you feel good about yourself from the inside out. Like engaging in activities that boost your confidence and self-esteem, such as your hobbies, exercising, I don't know, hanging out with your friends. Just, it's really individual, really. Whatever personally boosts your confidence and self-esteem. And number 4, never forget this one, the beauty industry sucks dicks. And it deserves to die in a hole. I'm usually not an aggressive person, but when it comes to the beauty industry, I would headlock that motherfucker and slam it into the wall, frickin' WWE style. Bitch. Sorry, that was really aggressive. But as I said, this gets me really heated. Chapter 4. Journal prompts. As always, I will have more journal prompts on my Instagram at Squares and Circles Pod, but for now, I'll give you 6. Number 1. When do I find myself comparing my appearance to others the most? How does this comparison affect my self-esteem and my mood? What media sources influence my perception of beauty? How can I curate my consumption of media to support a healthier self-image? What are my unique qualities that I love about myself? How can I express my individuality more fully without fear of judgment? Chapter 5. What do I do next? This week I've got 4 things for you to do next, and one of them, the first one, is to go through your social media accounts and unfollow, or you can mute them. You don't have to unfollow them if you don't want to be dramatic or whatever, like you don't want to cause beef, drama, whatever. But anyway, remove them from your feed in whatever way feels best to you. These accounts that make you feel insecure, and follow some accounts that promote positivity and authenticity. And I will actually tag some of those in the description of this podcast because I've got some good ones that I really like and they might help you. I don't know. It's worth a try, innit? The second thing I want you to do this week is to set some realistic and personal goals for self-improvement that focus on your well-being other than appearance. So it can be you're going to practice affirmations every day. It could be you're going to start exercising, or you're going to start eating your 5 a day, or whatever it might be. Like, just set yourself a goal and try and stick to it. Even if it's like, I'm going to do 20 minutes of exercise once a week. Like, that's a good goal. If you currently do no exercise, you're doing 20 minutes more than you were before, so that's fantastic. Number 3 is kind of similar, but I want you to practice self-compassion at least one time this next week. So whether that's positive self-talk, even if you have to fake it, or affirmations, or just treating yourself with the kindness and understanding that you would a friend if you're having a tough situation or something. Just show yourself some compassion and do it compassionately. And finally, the last thing I want you to do this week is to start to surround yourself and figure out if the people around you are good for you or bad for you, and if they are, fantastic, cultivate those relationships. And if you don't have people around you that are like that, then seek out communities or groups that promote this body positivity and self-acceptance, and people that will just generally make you feel good about yourself and not drag you down. I'm not saying you have to cut anybody off just yet, but just look for the people who will bring you up rather than bring you down. Just think about it. That's all I want you to do. Just think. And that is all we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning into Squares and Circles. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate and review us on Spotify to help it reach people who might need it. And God knows we all need a little help when it comes to comparisons. So definitely share this episode. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Spotify to stay updated on all of our latest episodes. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Squares and Circles Pod for updates and more content and advice. Be sure to share the podcast with friends, family, colleagues, or whoever else might need a little extra support on their journey to adulthood. This has been Squares and Circles. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.